Hello everyone, my name is Samar Absurdana. I will be your reading comprehension teacher today for Q Skills for Success Level 4 Unit 8. Why is it important to play? Now some discussion questions before moving on to the reading section. What were your favorite games as a child? Give examples and explain why you like them. Possible answer: when I was a child, I liked to play hide and seek. It was exciting to run around and look for my friends. Question 2. Do you think adults need time to play? What is playtime for an adult? A possible answer: yes, adults need time to play. Playing for adults may mean doing a hobby or going to a movie. And question 3. Look at the photo. How is this person having fun? Have you ever played a game like this in the photo below? This person is having fun by playing a game in a playground. Yes, I played games like this when I was younger. Moving on. Some important vocabulary to focus on during the reading, and we'll move on to the exercise after the reading. We have beneficial, catalyst, conflicted, given to, grim, incorporate, innovative, mundane, rigid, skeptic, strive, and therapy. Moving on to the reading section, the promise of play. I have spent a career studying play, communicating the science of play to the public, and working for Fortune 500 companies on how to incorporate it into business. I have used play therapies to help people who are clinically depressed. I frequently talk with groups of parents who inevitably are concerned and conflicted about what constitutes healthy play for their kids. I have gathered and analyzed thousands of case studies that I call play histories. I have found that remembering what play is all about and making it part of our daily lives are probably the most important factors in being a fulfilled human being. The ability to play is not only critical to being happy, but also to sustaining social relationships and being creative, innovative person. Moving on. If that seems to be a big claim, consider what the world would be like without play. It's not just an absence of games or sports. Life without play is a life without books, without movies, art, music, jokes, dramatic stories. Imagine a world with no daydreaming, no comedy, no irony. Such a world would be a pretty grim place to live. In a broad sense, play is what lifts people out of the mundane. I sometimes compare play to oxygen. It's all around us, yet goes mostly unnoticed or unappreciated until it's missing. But what happens to play in our lives? Nearly every one of us starts out playing quite naturally. As children, we don't need instruction in how to play. We just find what we enjoy and do it. Whatever rules there are to play, we learn from our playmates. And from our play, we learn how the world works and how friends interact. By playing, we learn about the mystery and excitement that the world can hold in a treehouse, an old tire swinging, or a box of crayons. At some point, as we get older, however, we are made to feel guilty about playing. We are told that it is unproductive, a waste of time, even sinful. The play that remains is, like league sports, mostly very organized, rigid, and competitive. We strive to always be productive, and if an activity doesn't teach us a skill, make us money, or get us on the boss's good side, then we feel we should not be doing it. Sometimes the sheer demands of daily living seem to rob us of the ability to play. The skeptics among the audiences I talk to will say, well, duh, of course, you will be happy if you play all the time. But for those of us who aren't rich or retired or both, there is simply no time for play. Or they might say that if they truly gave into the desire to experience the joy of free play, they would never get anything done. This is not the case. We don't need to play all the time to be fulfilled. The truth is that in most cases, play is a catalyst. The beneficial effects of getting just a little true play can spread through our lives, actually making us more productive and happier in everything we do. Moving on to the vocabulary section, read the sentences, then write each bold word next to the correct definition. We'll skip to the definitions right away. Alright. A noun, a person or thing that causes a change, a catalyst. So a catalyst is a person or thing that causes a change. B, beneficial, having a helpful or useful effect. C, grim, unpleasant and depressing. D, given to stop fighting against something. E, incorporate, to include something as a part of something else. F, strive, to try very hard to achieve something. G, mundane, dull, not interesting or exciting. H, therapy, a treatment for a physical or mental problem. I, conflicted, confused about what to do because you have strong opposing feelings. J, skeptic, a person who doubts that something is true. K, innovative, using new ideas or ways of doing something. And finally, L, rigid, following an exact process. Moving on to activity D, check the statements that the author would agree with. So, the statements the author would agree with are 1, so you must check it. Play is not only necessary, but it can be useful in many areas. And the second statement 2, check it. The value of play is not recognized by many people. 3, no. 4, check it. As children, play helps us understand the world we live in. 5 and 6, no. Finally, check number 7. Even a small amount of play can benefit adults. Moving on to activity E, answer these questions. Question 1. What types of people, groups, or organization has the author worked with? Fortune 500 companies, people who are clinically depressed, and groups of parents. Question 2. What benefits can play add to our lives? Give 3 examples, any 3 of the following. It can make us happier, it can make us more productive, it can help us to maintain social relationships, it helps us become creative, innovative people. Question 3. What would be missing from life without play? Also give 3 examples. Any 3 of the following: movies, art, music, jokes, dramatic stories, flirting, daydreaming, comedy, and iron. Moving on to question 4. What do children learn from play? Give 2 examples, any 2 of the following: how the world works, how friends interact, the mystery and excitement of the world. And finally, question 5. Why don't people play enough when they get older? Give 2 reasons, any 2 of the following: they feel guilty, they think it is unproductive or a waste of time, it doesn't teach a skill, it doesn't make money, or gets on the boss's good side. Moving on to activity F, circle the answer that best completes each statement. Number 1. The author includes the types of peoples, groups, and organizations he has worked with. A, to show that he is an expert. 2. Parents are concerned and conflicted about healthy play for their kids because A. They think play is a waste of time. 3. The author considers jokes and stories to be forms of play because A. They are innovative and creative. 4. The statement, whatever rules there are to play, we learn from our playmates, suggests that C. Children make up their own rules for their games. 5. The author suggests that A. Play doesn't have to accomplish anything. And 6. The author states that we don't have to play all the time to be fulfilled. This is because C. Play is just the beginning of being happy. And finally, 7. The author probably B. Plays a little bit every day. Alright, moving on to the reading skill. Identifying counter-arguments and refutations. Now, when you are reading a text, it's important to distinguish the author's opinion from any counter-arguments. A counter-argument is an idea that opposes the author's point of view. It is often introduced by a clause that identifies the source or a clause with a general subject, such as many experts say or some people think. For example, this is a counter-argument. The skeptics among the audiences that I talk to say, well, of course, you will be happy if you play all the time. Or they might say that if they truly gave in to the desire to experience the joy of free play, they would never get anything done. A counter-argument is generally followed by a refutation from the author. A refutation tries to show that the counter-argument is weak or incorrect. The refutation is often introduced by an expression that shows disagreement, the author's disagreement, such as on the contrary or but in fact. An example of a refutation: this is not the case. We don't need to play all the time to be fulfilled. And the truth is that in most cases play is a catalyst. Moving on to activity A. Now match the counter arguments with the correct refutations, then underline the clause and expressions that introduce them. So, as you can see, number 1 is already done. This is the counter argument, and F is the right refutation for counter argument number 1. Number 2, some people argue that the office is the wrong place for play. The correct refutation for this counter argument is C. On the contrary, some people argue that the truth is, however, that this is the part to underline in the counter argument, and like I said, C is the right refutation. On the contrary, studies have shown that play can make adults more productive. Counter argument 3, there are those who question whether play is a suitable activity for adults. This is the part to underline, and the right refutation is E. You underline. On the contrary, studies have shown that play can make adults more productive. Yes, this is the counter argument, the refutation for counter argument number 3, which is E. And like we said, for number 2, the right answer is C, but we read the wrong one, which is now the truth is, however, that employees work more creatively when they are relaxed. So number 2 is C and number 3 with E. Number 4, something that the best games for children have very clear rules, and underline something that. The right refutation for number 4 is A. This is not the case. Children actually learn more by creating their own rules. Underline, this is not the case. Counter argument number 5. Many claim that children can't learn effectively without adult supervision. Underline, many claim that. And the right refutation is D. In reality, children are very effective at organizing themselves. Underline, in reality. The last counter argument, number 6. Some experts believe that children have too much free time. Underline, some experts believe that. And the right answer is B. But in fact, they need this time for creative play and rest. Underline, but in fact. Moving on to reading 2. Child's play, it's not just for fun. Now, the vocabulary to focus on during the reading, and we'll move on to the activity after the reading. Complex, conduct, consequently, evident, impulsively, inhibit, predetermined, regulate, structured, subtle, and vital. Moving on to the reading section. Child's play, it's not just for fun. Joshua, Alicia, and Scott, 5-year-old students in kindergarten in New York, have decided to play store. At first, one might wonder if this is a good use of their time in school. What value is there in pretending to be in a store? As the game progresses, however, it becomes obvious that playing store is in fact a very complex activity. In order to play store, Joshua, Alicia, and Scott have to decide on their roles. Who will be the storekeeper, who will be the customer, and what role the third child will have. As they play, they must invent and act out scenes and respond to a changing narrative. When problems come up, the children must solve them in order to keep the game going. Through all this, their teacher occasionally steps in to assist them, but he never directs them or takes over their role playing. While watching the game unfold, it becomes clear why many researchers say that pretend play is a critical part of a child's development. In its most basic form, pretend play happens when a young child imagines that one thing is something else. Say a stick is a sword or a banana is a telephone. More complex pretend play, sometimes called complex imaginative play or dramatic play, involves specific roles and longer make-believe scenes. This is the type of play that Joshua, Alicia, and Scott were engaged in. Clearly, children are building both language skills and social skills while they are involved in complex pretend play. They learn to make compromises and take turns. Example, this time you can be the customer and next time I'll be the customer. They learn to listen carefully to others and cooperate, and they practice problem solving, but children participating in complex pretend play are also developing skills on a much more subtle level. In the field of early education, neuroscientist Adele Diamond and psychologist Deborah Leong have been instrumental in promoting the importance of pretend play. According to these two scientists, when children engage in pretend play, they are developing the ability to self-regulate. Children who can self-regulate are able to control their emotions and their behavior, and they can resist acting impulsively. These children have learned to focus their attention and concentrate on one thing. They can avoid being distracted, and they can make thoughtful choices and decisions. These skills will be vital for their academic success in later years. To demonstrate how pretend play nurtures self-regulation, researchers asked a group of 4-year-old children to stand still for as long as possible. Most of the children couldn't stand still for more than a minute. However, when the same children were pretending, they were guards at a factory, they were able to stand still for more than 4 minutes. By pretend playing, these children increase the amount of time they could control their behavior. Pretend play may help young children learn to self-regulate for one interesting reason. During pretend play, children talk aloud to themselves in a special way. Rather than describing what they have done, they tell themselves what they are going to do and how they are going to do it. In other words, they are actively planning and controlling their actions and behavior. This self-regulating talk, sometimes called private speech, helps children direct their thinking. Private speech is very common in the pretend play of children. As play becomes more structured and less imaginative, however, children use less private speech. Unfortunately, much of the play that young children engage in today is not imaginative play, and consequently, it does not allow them to practice self-regulation. When children are playing organized sports, for example, they are being regulated by adults rather than by themselves. They have no chance to practice controlling their own behavior and impulses. Toys, television, and video games also inhibit imaginative play because they have predetermined scripts. They tell children what to do and how to do it. There is also much less time available for pretend play in kindergarten classes in the United States today. In one recent survey, 254 kindergarten teachers in New York and Los Angeles stated that children in their classes spent less than 30 minutes a day engaging in any kind of play. According to Deborah Leong, kids aren't developing the self-regulation skills that they used to. This is evident when one compares children's behavior in the past to behavior today. In an experiment conducted in 1940, researchers asked children ages 3, 5, and 7 to stand still. The 3-year-old children weren't able to stand still at all. The 5-year-old children were able to stand still for about 3 minutes, and the 7-year-old children were able to stand still for as long as the researchers wanted. When the same experiment was repeated recently, neither the 3-year-old children nor the 5-year-old children were able to stand still at all. The 7-year-old children were barely able to stand still for 3 minutes. For many educators, the inability of children today to control their behavior is a serious concern. If pretend play truly helps children build social and language skills and learn to self-regulate, then clearly this type of play should be an important part of a child's early education. Educators and parents who think that playing during school hours is a waste of time need to look more carefully at the research. They need to understand that without opportunities for pretend play, children will not develop important behavioral and thinking skills. Play, they would see, isn't just all for fun. Moving on to the vocabulary activity, complete the sentences with the vocabulary from the reading. Sentence 1. It's important to rest and relax before an exam. Too much stress can inhibit your ability to perform well. So the first term is inhibit. Sentence 2. Students must register for classes at the predetermined times. Please check the website to find out the time that has been assigned to you. 3. It was evident from the bruise on the boy's face that he had been hurt. 4. Many internet services offer tools for parents to regulate what their children can't see. 5. The boy got angry and impulsively threw the toy across the room. Now he is sorry he did it. 6. The child wasn't listening, so I tried a more subtle approach. I asked her to play with me. 7. Nowadays, teachers spend more time teaching basic skills, and consequently, young children have less time to play. 8. Psychology researchers conduct experiments to test their ideas about human behavior. 9. Soccer and tennis are structured activities. They have very clear rules for players. 10. The ability to play is vital for human beings. It helps us be happy and innovative. And 11. You may think children's games are simple, but they are actually quite complex and have many rules. Moving on. Activity D. Check the main idea of the article. Now the main idea of the article is number 2. Young children need opportunities for pretend play because it helps them build language and social skills and learn to self-regulate. Moving on to activity E. Complete the chart with the main idea of each paragraph. As you can see, number 1 is already done. Paragraph 2, the benefits of pretend play. When children are involved in complex pretend play, they are building social and language skills. Paragraph 3, pretend play and the ability to self-regulate, and the main idea. When children are involved in pretend play, they learn to self-regulate. Paragraph 4, children's ability to control their behavior. The main idea is children were able to control their behavior for a longer amount of time when they were pretend playing. Number 5, why private speech helps children learn to self-regulate, and the main idea, private speech helps children learn to self-regulate because they talk about what they are going to do and how. Paragraph 6, ways children play today, and the main idea, the way children play today does not allow for many opportunities to practice self-regulation. Paragraph 7, behavior of children today versus in the past. The main idea is children today can't control their behavior as well as children in the past could. And the last paragraph, number 8, which is the conclusion, the main idea is pretend play is a vital activity for young children. Moving on to activity F. Here the author cites research studies to support his ideas about pretend play. Answer the questions about those studies. For questions 1 to 9, write the paragraph number where you found the answer. Number 1, what are the names of the scientists who have been instrumental in promoting the importance of pretend play? You can find the answer in paragraph 3, and the answer is Adele Diamond and Deborah Leon. Question 2, what fields of study are they in? Also from paragraph 3, neuroscience and psychology. Question 3, what did researchers ask a group of 4-year-old children to do? From paragraph 4, and the answer is stand still for as long as possible. Question 4, how were the children able to increase the time they were able to stand still to 4 minutes? You can find the answer in paragraph 4, and the answer is by pretending to be guards at a factory. Question 5, how many kindergarten teachers were surveyed? From paragraph 6, and the number is 254. Question 6, how much time did they report that children in their classes spent playing? From paragraph 6, and the answer is less than 30 minutes. Question 7, what evidence does the author provide to support Deborah Leon's statement that children aren't developing the self-regulation skills that they used to? From paragraph 7, a comparison of children's behavior in the past to behavior today. Question 8, when was the first study conducted? From paragraph 7, the answer is 1940. Question 9, how old were the children in the 2 studies? From paragraph 7, their ages were 3, 5, and 7. In the last question, How long was each group of children able to stand still? Complete the chart. It's the same experiments. These are the answer for the groups from the past, from 1940, and here are the answers for the groups in recent times. Now the answer can be found in paragraph 7. As you can see, in the past, not able to stand still, the 3-year-old children, the 5-year-old children about 3 minutes, and the 7-year-old children as long as the researchers wanted. But in recent years, the 3-year-old children were not able to stand still. The 5-year-old children, neither they were not able to stand still. And the 7-year-old children were barely able to stand still for 3 minutes. Moving on to activity G, write a detail or example from the reading to support each statement. Statement 1. Children learn important social and language skills when they engage in pretend play. And, for example, they learn to make compromises and take turns while they are engaged in pretend play. Statement 2. Children who can self-regulate can control their behavior. A detail or example to support it. For example, they can concentrate on one thing. Statement 3. Children are learning to self-regulate when they engage in pretend play. For example, when they are pretending to be guards at a factory, they are learning to stand still for a long period of time. Statement 4. Many types of play don't allow children to practice controlling their own behavior. Examples: video games, for example, have predetermined scripts. They tell children what to do and how to do it. Children don't have to make the rules for themselves. Statement 5. Children today can't control their behavior as well as children in the past. In one experiment, children today couldn't stand still for nearly as long as children in the 1940s. Moving on to the vocabulary skill, collocations with prepositions. There are several common collocation patterns with prepositions that are important to recognize and learn. For example, structure verb plus preposition. Example, by playing we learn about the mystery and excitement that the world can't hold. Verb plus object plus preposition. Example, the demands of daily living seem to rob us of the ability to play. Adjective plus preposition. Example, at some point as we get older, we are made to feel guilty about. Playing children are building both language skills and social skills while they are involved in complex pretend play. Noun plus preposition. Example, the beneficial effects of getting just a little true play can spread through our lives. Many verbs, adjectives, and nouns are followed by only one preposition. Others can be followed by various prepositions, more than one, with different uses or meanings. Activity A, you need to read the paragraphs and the sentences that follow. Complete the collocation with the correct prepositions. So, after you read the following paragraph, I have spent a career studying play, communicating the science of play to the public, and working for Fortune 500 companies on how to incorporate it into business. I have used play therapies to help people who are clinically depressed. I frequently talk with groups of parents who inevitably are concerned about what represents healthy play for their kids. Sentence 1. Wafa lost 3 games, but she didn't seem very concerned about it. 2. Keeping their children amused represents a challenge for some parents. 3. Many teachers try to incorporate play activities into their schedules. 4. My brother is working with a local businessman on new designs for children's playground equipment. The second paragraph, when children engage in pretend play, they are developing the ability to self-regulate. Children who can self-regulate are able to control their emotions and their behavior, and they can resist acting impulsively. These children have learned to focus their attention and concentrate on one thing. They can avoid being distracted, and they can make thoughtful choices and decisions. These skills will be vital for their academic success in later years. Sentence 5. Faris thinks the local play group has improved his son's ability to compromise. 6. Fun time is vital for parent-child relationships. 7. Huda has been having trouble concentrating on her homework. And 8. Children need the opportunity to engage in fun activities with adults. Finally, activity B is a homework for you. What you need to do here is write 5 sentences using collocations from activity A. Just pick any 5 collocations from the previous activity, and you need to write 5 sentences with these collocations. Example answers: I am concerned about my daughter, she isn't feeling well. And 2, I hope we can incorporate some more speaking practice into our grammar classes. Example 3, I don't think Juan has the ability to relax when he's with his older brother because they are always competing against each other. 4, it is difficult to concentrate on the movie when someone is talking. Last example, I am working with 2 co-workers on a new project. Alright everybody, that's it. Thank you for listening and stay safe.